One of the questions we get from time to time about people considering a revocable trust estate plan is this: how do I put my home into the trust? Hi, I'm estate planning and probate attorney Joel Beck with Peach State Wills and Trust, and I'll answer that question in today's video. So our question of the day is this: how do you put your home into a revocable trust in Georgia? And that's a good question, because if you do go to the trouble and the time and the expense of creating a revocable living trust, you need to fund it. You need to move your assets into it, or else you're not getting your bang for the buck for that type of plan, and your assets are not going to avoid the probate process, which is one of the main benefits here in Georgia of using a trust-based plan. So you want to fund the assets, including your real estate here in Georgia, into that trust. But how do you do it? Well, this may seem obvious, but let's state it anyway. You start with having a trust. You can't move your home into a trust if there is no trust. So you want to have a trust. And what is a trust? It's a legal entity that can exist separate from you, and it can hold assets and use them for your benefit and the benefit of others. The trust is created with a document that you sign in accordance with Georgia law. It's witnessed in a certain way, and it's going to identify the key players. You have the grantors, and the grantors or the grantor, that's the person or the people that are making the trust, that are moving the assets into the trust. You also have a trustee or trustees. This is the person or the people who are managing the assets for the beneficiaries, and the trustees are typically going to be the grantors while they're alive and have capacity. Of course, you have the beneficiaries, the people who get to enjoy the assets of the trust, have the trust benefit them, and typically the grantors are the beneficiaries during their life, and then it's going to be their selected loved ones, family members, friends, charities after they pass away. And then, of course, the trust will outline the plan of distribution. What's the plan? What's the purpose of the trust? What's the plan for how and when assets are going to be distributed and to whom? So that's what the trust is. Once the trust is created, it's time to fund it. Funding is simply the process of moving the assets out of the individual's name into the trust by funding them, giving power to the trustee of the trust over their assets in his or her capacity as the trustee. Now, with respect to real property, and that's the legal term for real estate, we fund the real estate into the trust by way of a real estate deed that's filed with the county in Georgia where the property is located. In Georgia, the real estate deed should convey the property to the trustee of the trust as trustee, rather than just titling it in the name of the trust itself. That's because the trustee is the legal owner of the property in the trust, and they hold the property for the benefit of the trust beneficiary. So in other words, the trustee's name should be reflected as the grantee on the deed, followed by the name of the revocable trust. So we're going to clearly convey that it's going to the trustee as trustee of the revocable trust. It's important to make sure that that real estate deed is drafted properly to avoid any confusion about the ownership of the property, and we really recommend that you work with an experienced attorney to assure that the deed is prepared properly and completed, filed in accordance with Georgia law. It's too much of a significant asset to be messed up. Now, with the deed, PT 61 form from the Department of Revenue is also filed to document whether any taxes are due on the transfer of the property. Typically, when you're moving the property into a grantor trust, that is a trust you created, there's not going to be a transfer tax. There obviously will be a filing fee paid to the county to process that. Once the deed is filed and recorded, the house has been transferred to the trust, really to the trustee of the trust, in their capacity as trustee. There are a couple of other considerations. The big one is to make sure that you update the homeowners insurance on the property to reflect that the trust is now the owner These are things that your estate planning attorney will give you guidance on and instructions on as you work to fund the trust, and you get a set of funding instructions to outline things that you need to do. And of course, in addition to funding the real estate into the trust, you want to fund the other assets that you have as well. Now, if you've got questions about revocable trust or wills, healthcare directives, powers of attorney, any type of estate planning topics here in Georgia, we invite you to visit us online at peachstatewills.com. Go there, click on free info at the top of the screen, then select estate planning resources. And you give us a name and an email address, and we'll automatically send you our free guide to estate planning in Georgia, no strings attached. Or if you're ready to talk to somebody experienced in estate planning about putting a plan in place for you and your family, whether that's a will-based plan or a trust-based plan, or you need help with something else, then we invite you to pick up the phone and give us a call. You can reach our team at 678-344-5342. We'll be happy to chat with you for a few minutes and see if we might be a good fit to work together and assist you with your needs. Remember, estate planning doesn't have to be hard, and we can help. Thanks.